Rich Hoffman joins me now. He's one of the evil people behind quashing the Lakota levy last year. One of the evil people who shut that down. You don't see it that way.
Oh, no, it's in a strange parallel universe where the opposites are true. That's probably the case. And yeah, there's a lot of angry email coming in my direction. Again, not just because of the busing, because of all the other news issues.
So now we got this balance. The levy didn't pass, so now there's budget issues, and the school district says, well, the way we're going to take care of this is to cut some of the busing. And that's going to hit, the 18th?
Yeah, 18th. January 18th is B Day. That's the day that they cut the busing within a mile radius for K through 8th grade. And I can tell you that back in 2005, that was only a half-mile radius when they made that cut, and that was an absolute bumper-to-bumper disaster for a short time. I know there were several accidents, and back then my wife drove our kids to school, and she was in an accident where some young kid ran into the back of her. So I'm sure that's going to be something that's going to happen quite a bit.
Well, and this is just round one coming up the 18th. You have MLK Day. Do the kids have Martin Luther King Day off the 17th in Lakota? Okay. So then after that, you get back to school, and this hits. But this is just round one, right? That's going to get even more drastic, in August?
Right. Yeah, round one now, and they hope to save, they think it's going to save $600,000 this year, and then in August, then they go into the 2-mile radius, which will be even worse. You're adding a whole other mile of many suburban neighborhoods to the mix, and they think it's going to save them $2.8 million for the entire year next year.
I have a link to your blog at my blog, 700WLW.com, brought to you by the American Trading Company, and people can go there and check it out. What are people saying about this busing right now? I mean, parents got to be pretty upset about it. Oh,
of course they're upset, and there's quite a few people that are happy that even though the election's over, we're still maintaining things. And I update that blog because I kind of connect that to the website, and that's the way to keep information current so people can see things that happen on a day-to-day basis as it's easier to update that. But there's the people who, of course, voted against it that are happy, and the people who wanted the service who voted for the levy. Of course, they're very upset, and they haven't sent as many bad emails lately because I guess the holidays have distracted everybody.
The goodwill, right? They wanted to give you a break.
It's picking up.
All right, well, Rich, I got to ask you then. So if you're somebody that was not in favor of the levy, and I certainly am not in favor of levies until we finally, come up with a real plan for all of this stuff, what do you expect? You didn't get the levy passed, and they have to cut somewhere, so they cut busing. I mean, if you wanted the busing, you'd say pass the levy, right?
Yeah, well, no. The problem is they have a budget. When I tell them not to live within a certain budget, they have a $150 million budget, and that's generous. And the community is spending $11 per thousand on their house assessment on taxes to support the schools. And so it's not at all unrealistic. The problem is this whole busing issue is only like 3% of the entire budget. It's really teardrops in the ocean. It doesn't amount to anything. It's just a cosmetic cut. And the real cuts need to come, and they're going to have to come at some point in time. The LEA is going to have to renegotiate their contracts. Otherwise, when you have $31 million tied up in teachers' salaries that make over $65,000 a year, and $31 million of that's tied up in those teachers, you have to kind of deal with that top pay scale issue and decide whether or not you really need to pay people in that range, because that's the only way you can make any kind of cuts to have a budget that's fiscally responsible.
So there's
not going to do it for you.
So there's other places they should do instead of the busing. Where should they attack? Just the salaries? Is that the main thing?
Oh, I think they need to take a real hard look at the step increases. The whole during 2010. Their average salary was $59,000. It went up to $62,000 in just 6 months because of the step increases that are being implemented. And really what's going on, their financial projections going forward are because step increases are going to continue to increase at a rate that your budget's not increasing, so your step increases are increasing your budget, but the supply isn't increasing. It's all dictated off really step increases. That's the cost that is the variable. And
so if these steps hadn't been there for whatever, a few years or whatever, then the need for the levy or proposed levy or suggested levy last fall wouldn't have been there.
Wouldn't have been there. And to give you an idea, we had the teacher issue that was the big story on Monday. Well, that teacher made $70,000 a year. And he had only been at the school system for, I think it was 12 years. He was only 42 years old. That tells you how aggressive the step increases were, or how much they are. And then the argument is, well, you want quality teachers, so you pay quality money. Well, I don't think that the money is buying us, quality when you have issues like that. It just puts the debate on the table for us to discuss, and nobody's discussing it. All they want to do is cut busing.
Well, what do you hear from the teachers in this whole thing? Are there any teachers out there that, are there any of them that are talking to you anonymously?
Well, yes, we do have a few that have spoken about it. But right now, I'm kind of the devil, and they've just painted me as the bad, meanie blogger that is keeping these issues alive, so they can't just push them into the back corner and hope they all go away.
Well, are they thinking, okay, you're just the guy who's trying to keep them from making a couple more dollars?
Right. Yeah. I'm in the way of progress, I guess, in this situation, and it's really disheartening because it's not like I had someone send me a comment yesterday that really kind of ticked me off, and they said, "Well, you don't have to like the district." Well, it's not like I grew up in the district. I've been in the district a long time. I moved back to the district because I like it. Throwing money at something doesn't mean you like something. Sometimes tough love means you like something. When you like something, you want to preserve it for a long time. And throwing money at a situation doesn't mean you like it. It just means you want the problem to go away so you can go about your business and hope it all goes away.
So Rich, I mean, it sounds like, and I've seen your blog, I've read some of the things, I've looked at some of the comments people make, and, the numbers that you lay out there when it comes to what busing represents versus salaries and some of the other things. And I know this is true of other districts as well. Then what is their motivation for the busing? Clearly, they have to know this, and they have to know that if you're right, this whole thing is unsustainable. So why are they attacking the busing then? What is your speculation? It's
extortion. It's pure, simple extortion. And I hate to use such a strong word, but there isn't another word in the English dictionary to put it in a softer way. It's to inconvenience people. Like I said, I remember what it was like in 2005, and I know what it's going to be like this time. It will be a mile or two of backup, bumper-to-bumper cars trying to get in. The parents are going to be very inconvenienced because they're going to have to be late to wherever they have to go for work, employment. Or some people have told me that their wives are going to have to quit, or they're going to stay home with the kids and drive them. And so there's going to be all those people instantly hitting the road in an hour time span, and the roads aren't built to really hold that much traffic, and the school system knows that. And the people the architects of this kind of extortion know that too, and they reside in Columbus, and every school system is required to do this kind of thing as a way to secure their funding. And it's ridiculous. And if people put up with it, they're crazy.
So this is just as soon as people start complaining, and they will quickly, and it won't be just the people that have kids in school that have to deal with this, whether their kid is driving to school, or they have to provide a vehicle for their kid, or they have to drive themselves, or figure out carpool, or any of that stuff. It'll also be the other residents of the district that are saying, okay, what is with this backup? Why is there so much traffic? Why are we having all these troubles? And when they complain to the school then will say,
you need to pass a levy if you want to come back. And they're going to say, point your finger at the people like Mr. Hoffman and all those people in No Lakota, the No Lakota levy people. They're the ones that have caused this problem on you. And that's how it's all being set up. And that's the kind of email that I get. That's the anger. That's the attitude is, well, we didn't secure funding, so we're the me's. And it's our fault that these people are going to be thrown into situations where they're going to be driving their kids to school in a rush hour situation that's going to be bumper to bumper. There's going to be a lot of accidents. There's going to be a lot of little problems. There's going to be a lot of people late. And it's going to be a severe inconvenience. And they're going to pit it on the people who said no to the funding. And again, it's a 3% attack on a budget, and it doesn't even begin to address their ultimate problems. And that's where the anger builds on both sides.
Talking with Rich Hoffman from No Lakota Levy. In fact, you can link or see his blog. It's linked at mine700WLW.com. The frustrating thing, Rich, I don't think people truly understand where we are when it comes to education and spending. I mean, look at the districts. You got the little Miami district is talking about actually breaking up. They're in such financial dire straits. And I think that's a little bit of a scare tactic too, and a little extortion. We'll get into that in a minute. But this is happening all over the place. The money is not there. Recently, reports came out about how drastic the cuts have been when it comes to federal money given to the states for some of this stuff, and it is down a huge, huge amount.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, because if you read Mike Taylor's letter, and Mike Taylor's not a bad superintendent, when no one thinks that, but when you read the letter that he's put out about this busing, he actually talks about, we'll keep parents at rest if we come into some federal money, because they've applied, I guess, several grants or whatever. That's the plan. The plan is to hope that some federal money drops in their lap, or some state allocation funds come their way, and they can kind of hold off this problem. And that's not happening. I can tell you now, I've been listening closely to Kasich, and Kasich, I think he's going to be making some severe cuts. You can see the bill he's talking about putting on the table as soon as he starts next week, as far as preventing strikes of public employees. That's going to go a long way to helping us solve some of these crazy problems. But that's the position he's going to take, and there's not going to be any extra money. But these school systems, and it's not just Lakota, it's Sycamore, it's Mason, they're all hoping some money falls in their lap, and it's not coming.
I'll tell you what, that's pretty insightful, because I don't think it's just the school districts, Rich. I think cities are hoping that money's going to come their way. Counties, I mean, look at the budget that they're proposing now for the city of Cincinnati, and it does the same thing that it did last time of, well, let's just hope that down the road it gets better.
Yeah, all these public officials are betting on the same money, and it ain't coming. It is not coming. I'm still cautious about John Banner. He's a local guy, and we all like him, and we're rooting for him because it's like you'd root for the local team. I like that they read the Constitution yesterday, and that is all very nice and ceremonial. And I hope 2 months from now they're doing the same stuff. But the position they're taking is there's not going to be any of this money out there. They're not going to be approving funds that are going to trickle down to the states and into the schools.
Yep.
So it's going to be coming right back at the taxpayers, and we're not paying it.
Local cities, counties, and school districts are hoping they're going to get it from the state. The states are hoping they're going to get it from the feds. And you're right, all of them are hoping that down the road things are going to turn around, they'll have more money. But the problem is, Rich, that a lot of their money is tied to how well the economy is doing. Part of the reason that their budgets are so off, they projected these huge amounts of money based on what taxes they'd be able to take in because of how well the economy was doing. The economy tanked. Guess what? You're not going to have that money. And the economy is not going to rebound to the level that they can continue to fund the way they have been.
No, not for years and years.
No.
And if it ever did, we'd be stupid to go back to how we did it. Everybody was asleep for a long time. As long as everybody had a job and can do their basic necessities, they paid the taxes, and they didn't question where they went. And now that it's tighter, people are asking the questions and are wanting to know where the money's going. And now that that's happened, we're not going back to the old way. It would take 30 years of complacency to get back to what led us to this problem to begin with. So they're betting on the wrong horse.
I think if you really want to solve this, and the school situation is pretty, you can draw some comparisons to some of the other things going on too. I think with taxes in general and stuff like that, we need a new plan. We need to step back and say, okay, what are we going to do it? And the wonderful thing we have right now is technology that we didn't have years ago. So we can take some of the really good things that we used to have when you and I went to school and people before us went to school, some of the ways we learn, we're educated, and now also look at some of the new technology and say, you know what, maybe kids don't need to sit in school 9 to 5 every day or whatever it is, 5 days a week, so many days a year, and say, you know what, if you can learn online, we'll put all the curriculum online, you can take some classes. I mean, there's a lot of different things. Let's throw some ideas out there.
I'm glad you brought that up. Both of my kids finished their senior years. They had things they wanted to do. They finished their senior years, completely online courses, tested out, and both of them on their SATs scored well above average. So and that was a much more efficient way to go about business. They were done with a whole semester of school before Christmas.
Wow, that's incredible. All right, Rich, tell you what, as the busing issue, the less busing hits on January 18th, give it a couple days or so, and we'll talk after that and find out how this whole thing's going for Lakota.
It's B-Day.
It's B-Day. Busing.
B-Day.
All right. Rich Hoffman from No Lakota Levy. Appreciate you joining me again. His blog is at mine, 700WLW.com. Your Fox 19 Storm Tracker forecast from Katie Morgan. Scattered snow showers through the afternoon, less than an inch of accumulation with snow, highs in the mid to upper 20s. Friday night. Friday night. Cloudy skies with light snow showers, no accumulation, overnight low 16. Currently 21 degrees at the big one. It's really interesting when you look at the Little Miami School District in Warren County. And I was reading the article in the Inquirer today. I'm telling you what, I really think they're just trying to scare people. When you look at some of the quotes, when they talk about how well the school district is and it gets its excellent rating. In fact, one of the Board of Education members, Bobby Grice, said, "It's discouraging. We have a fine school district, but our community will not pass an operating levy. Okay, well, yeah, they're telling you that they don't have the money. And they've put it on 7 times in the last few years. 7 times. You know what? You've got to make some tough choices. Obviously, the people are saying they don't have the money or they think you have enough money. You got to make some choices. So the Board of Education president, Kim Dunbar, says she doesn't want it to happen, but believes it's the board's responsibility to explore the plan of possibly dissolving the district. So they're going to have a big meeting on it. This sounds more like they're trying to scare the people to say, do you want your kids to have to go to another school? What happens if this dissolves? You know, we do well. We've got an excellent rating in that, but you're not willing to give us more money. Do you really want your kids going to another school district? I mean, don't you think that would be effective? Of course it would be effective marketing when you're trying to get money out of people. And the other thing is, when have you ever known any group of public officials, public servants, elected people, government workers, when have you ever known them to suggest that their job could go away? Have you ever known them to suggest, well, maybe we'll just shut this thing down? No, they don't do that. They fight tooth and nail for their jobs. And in fact, they always tell you how much it's needed, right? Normally they're telling you how they need this money and for the children wouldn't it be good. Why would they even suggest that instead of saying, and again, I am not familiar with their finances, how many schools they have. I know they have roughly 4,000 kids. But you mean to tell me that's the only solution you're at if you don't get a levy? The only solution is you're going to have to dissolve it? No, I ain't buying that. Bruce in Westchester, you're on 700 WLW.
Hi. I just got a quick thing. I've always lived in the Lakota School District. I grew up there, and my kids go there as well. And my brother made kind of what I thought was a pretty good suggestion to solve the busing issue, because I've been kind of irritated over the fact that they've kind of held us ransom for the busing by passing a levy. And he actually suggested that they separate create a separate levy just for the transportation issue for the schools, besides the school itself, and that would kind of solve the problems and let the citizens decide whether or not they want to pay for busing and what they want to pay for the school.
That's one area to look at it. You can say, all right, fine, we'll give you the money for this, but it's not going to the teachers' salaries if they have the step increases. For that, you've got to come back and ask us again.
Yeah, but I have no idea how you'd get something like that started, but I thought it was a very nice suggestion.
You know what? At this point, Bruce, and I'm being real serious here, I would listen to any suggestion. They're not willing to do that quite often, though. They're not willing to do it because they really want things the way they used to be, where you send them a lot of money and they can continue to pay people if they're union members or whatever else. That's the way they want it. They don't want you to have control over the money, because if you do, quite often you tell them no. And they don't want to hear no. More of your calls coming up next. 700 WL. This is very odd. Coming up today at 2:33 with Willie. His special guest, Elvis. Didn't he die? I remember seeing that in the papers, didn't I? It was a myth. Wow. Well, when people thought he died, that's coming up 2:33 today with Willie. I remember when people thought he died back in the late 70s. And I remember my mom was sitting on the couch watching the Merv Griffith show in the afternoon, and they broke in. They said the king was dead. But apparently he's not. He'll be with Willie today at 2:33 on 700 WLW. Got an email to share with you. Actually, I got a couple. And you can email me, doc at 700WLW.com. This one from Lance. He said, Little Miami hired 2 new administrators, but they're broke. They hired 2 new administrators. Is that 2 new positions? Doesn't sound like they're broke. Got Got another one from Tom. He said, Doc, let's put this into perspective. I moved here from a western state. The property tax on a $250,000 residence in my former state, about $1,500 annually. The property taxes on a comparable property in southwestern Ohio, $4,500. There are two problems. Number one, high salaries driven by the union contract. Number two, how school funding depends too heavily on property taxes. Yeah, you're right. I was stunned. I've owned houses in Ohio before, and when I moved back and bought another house, even though I knew the taxes were high, I was still shocked. I was still shocked to see them. I was like, oh. I'll tell you what, if I didn't hate commuting so much, where I wanted to get something relatively close to work, I wouldn't have bought in Ohio. I would have bought over in Indiana or in Kentucky. One of the two. I wouldn't have done it. The property taxes are outrageous. I'm saying when you compare taxes state to state, Ohio is always in the upper portion. Some states, they fund the different services and government agencies and schools and everything else with primarily sales taxes or property taxes or income tax, whatever it is. And you'll see when you see, okay, these are the 5 states that are highest when it comes to sales tax. And you look at them and then you see, okay, these are the 5 or 10 states that are highest when it comes to income tax. And the states all change. Except one of the constants is Ohio. We get nailed across the board on this stuff. To a couple of more calls here. Let's go to Sharon and Mason. You're on 700 WLW.
Hey, good morning, Doc. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Do you have kids, or do you live in the Lakota District?
No, I don't. I was the chairman of the Project 11-2, which defeated the Mason levy.
Oh, okay.
And I would ask that the parents actually Mason is talking about possibly some busing cuts. They haven't really decided what they're going to do yet. But what I would ask the parents to do, whether, with this Lakota and with other school districts, is to form a support group of possibly parents that can help each other with getting their kids transported back and forth to school, because what they have to do is to let the school districts know that they're not going to be strong-armed into putting in these levies. And I would think that some type of support group or a group that would maybe contribute to some type of busing company that would take care of picking up their kids and taking them to school. But I think we have to really get serious and to let these school districts know that we're just not going to be strong-armed in the future.
Think about this, Sharon. When it comes to the busing now, those parents, and like you said, it could happen in Mason as well, those parents are going to have to come up with some sort of transportation to school, which is going to, no matter what they come up with, is going to cost them money. Either a couple extra dollars to drive their kid in fuel, and by the way, gas prices are going up, wear and tear on car, or like you said, hire somebody to do it. It's going to cost them money.
Exactly, and I think what we have to also do is to get our elected officials up in Columbus to introduce a bill that would stop these school districts from being allowed to use this type of tactic when it's a safety issue to our children. I mean, these are things that we have to work on, and we have to find solutions, and we have to find good solutions once and for all. And, the only way around this is to get tough. I understand people are going to be inconvenienced, but sometimes we have to be inconvenienced to get the message across.
No, you're not. You're open to the idea of a lot of different ideas to let's once and for all start looking to the future on the way we think about education and proceed with education across the board. You're open to explore ideas, right?
Absolutely. And one thing that I'd like to let everybody know is that there is going to be a school choice forum that we are having on January the 20th at the Liberty Bible Academy on Old Simpson Road in Mason, to offer people the opportunity to hear the school choice and the benefits of school choice, including how it would help the state budget. So this is Jeff Reed, who is with the Milton Friedman Foundation, is going to be there. So anybody that's interested in that, I would ask that they come with their questions, because there will be an open question session.
That's 2 weeks from yesterday. What time of the day?
It's at 7:00 p.m.
I may come to that.
Good.
If you send me the email, I'll come. I just want to educate myself on what's going on and, show my support to the people that are, fighting the good fight. And I'll also announce it for you to remind people, okay?
I appreciate that, Doc.
Thanks so much. Hey, real quick, Sharon, before I let you go, are you hearing any rumors of them trying to float any other future levies? Has that popped up at all?
Oh, absolutely. The article that was in the paper last month by Marianne Culbertson, who's just one of our school board members, said they have two options. Either cut a little and put on a levy, or cut a lot and not put on a levy. I'm like, wow, boy, isn't that enlightening?
Yeah, we'll see what they end up doing. Appreciate the call and comment, Sharon.